Hello, mindful friends. Today we're going to be talking about our motivation to do good in the world and being mindful of when that desire to make positive change or fix things out in the world is starting to create negative energies within us and around us. So we've all seen it happen, right? Where activists start with a really great cause and they have really good intentions, and we know that they want to make positive change in the world. And then the desire to do so creates a fire and an anger within that leads to destruction. So leads to mindsets or movements that end up losing their peace and their essence and become aggressive against people who do not think like them. And this can happen in large scales, like big movements, as well as little tiny ones within our own lives of how we end up treating ourselves when we're trying to create change within our own lives, within our own bodies or minds, or in our little communities. So with people that we love or care about, that our desire to make change and do good ends up creating judgment in us or aggression in us that may push other people away or create harm. So we look at our intentions of what are we really caring about and what are we really trying to do and create change for. And a lot of us right now, right, we care a lot about our earth, we care a lot about humanity, how we're treating one another, and it can push us to try to evolve things, to make changes in our own lives. And we start, making small adjustments of things that we can do, of how we live a little bit differently, or we take care of the planet a little bit more. And then, it starts growing in us, and it's like, yeah, we want to do this, and we see that it's really important, and we start wanting to change things on a bigger scale or make bigger leaps than we are. And where we notice this change is you can feel it in the energy within you of, are you being motivated by love? Is the kind of change that you're creating generating peaceful feelings within you, generating good feelings within you? You can feel it kind of reverberating within you and around you of, does this feel peaceful and calm and kind? And you can feel that with self as well, of if you're trying to change how you're eating or you're trying to change how you're exercising. Are you making those changes out of love? And is that motivation within you coming from a place of compassion? That sometimes it can be a little firm, right? We can kind of hold ourselves to that change. But if we're not seeing enough progress, or we start becoming fanatic about our belief of what needs to change within ourselves or in others, that energy shifts. So it's that fanaticism starts coming in of, maybe we're not seeing as big of change as we wanted, so all of a sudden we feel like we have to be more aggressive. And then the shift happens. And maybe we start speaking to self angrily, like, why can't you hold to this? Or, you're so dumb, or you're so weak that you can't keep to this diet, or you're so ugly you have to keep running. Or if it goes into, it's something else of how we are kind of sustaining the planet or changing our lifestyle, it's like it turns into a negative talk of, we're not doing enough and you have to push harder and nobody's trying. And you can notice when it shifts into this negative. And can you hear the judgment in what happened there? So instead of coming towards these changes in love, of like, I love you so much that we want to do this thing that's going to serve us better, and we'll walk you through this in peace, and there's encouragement, and there's an always coming back to the intent, versus an aggressive judgment. You're not doing enough, you're not doing good enough, you're not giving enough, you're not changing enough. Push harder, and there's almost an insult in it. So now, yes, maybe your initial motivation is still there and is still good, that you want to see positive change in self and in the world, but now your means have become destructive. And there's a negativity and there's a harm in how we're approaching this. And Thich Nhat Hanh even brought this up back in Vietnam when the Communist Party was building. And he was saying, at first it was very motivating because these young people were wanting to see change. They were wanting to see more equality in the society. They were wanting to offer more to people who had very little. They were really wanting to help their country. And he said at first he was really motivated to join into the fight. He was like, these people are actually doing something, and us Buddhists are just sitting here, thinking on it and being peaceful, and we're not doing action. So he contemplated leaving the monastery and joining, not at that time the fight, but the movement. And he said there was something that felt a little off, and he just started observing. And then he watched how those energies and those motivations that might have been positive at first, of just young people wanting more equality in society, wanting to help those who were suffering, all of a sudden started to morph and change. And there became an us and them attitude, a blaming of the other, an aggression started to happen, a forcing the other to change, or a making enemy of those who were not following what you thought would help these changes happen. And then he watched as it morphed into this really ugly monster that started fighting others and using killing and aggression and anger to try to create this change that was motivated positively in the beginning. And it ended up becoming very destructive. So I think about this with us, and even in ourselves in little ways, but also in larger ways. As you're looking at what are those changes you're really wanting to see in the world, and how are we going about them, and staying really mindful to keep in the right energies. Right? Because Thich Nhat Hanh didn't give up his desire to create more equality, more love and compassion and assistance to all in life. He just kept it in a way that was pure, that stayed peaceful, that stayed in its integrity. It never moved towards aggression or pushing or anger. It always stayed motivated by love. And so how can we do that in our own lives, of even with self, of if you're trying to make changes in your own life, when you notice yourself kind of maybe falling back or not making the progress, watch how you talk to yourself. Is it aggressive? Is it moving out of peace and love? And then watch how that changes your relationship to self. Or even in how you are with others. You want them to make positive change in their lives. You're motivated by some good you'd like to see come into their lives and how they're interacting or being. But watch how that turns into action. Is it motivated by judgment? Are you judging these other people? Watch if it's creating us and them division. Watch if it's creating anger within you or this feeling of superiority that I know and you don't. And just observe as it's happening. And when that does happen, come back to your true intention. Was, why do I care in the first place? Because I really want this to heal the world. Is anger, aggression, and judgment healing? No. Does healing ever come from those energies? No. So as we're observing, we then return to our true motivation to heal each other and to heal the planet. And so we return to that feeling of, okay, then that means being loving, being compassionate, being accepting. And those are the biggest priority. And then we make the small shifts that we can within those energies. And we live it. We live it in a way that's loving. We make those small changes. We take care of ourselves. We also take care of others. And that means not turning it into aggression, even in the smallest ways, even towards self. Even if you're talking to self and you're like, I want to motivate myself to change, make sure those words of motivation come from love, come from compassion, and deep acceptance. So I invite you this week to look into that. What are those big motivations of change? And return to the initial intention and see if we can continue making those steps in love, in compassion, in peace. If you enjoy these little talks and would like to join us for a group session or individual coaching, you can find us at newleafmindfulness.com. And if you enjoyed the video, don't forget to like and share. I hope to see you very soon.